Joined by Angelina Jolie, star of a new movie, Changeling, directed by Clint Eastwood, also stars John Malkovich as well. Angelina joins me. Good afternoon, Angelina. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you.
Thank you very much indeed for your time. Is it okay if we film for the website? I've got one camera pointing at me and you got one camera pointing at you. I was just checking that's okay.
That's fine.
Okay. What an extraordinary film you've delivered here. Tell us about The Changeling. Tell us about Christine Collins, an extraordinary woman.
Oh, I'm so bad at this. Christine, it's a real story that happened in 1928 about a woman whose child was kidnapped. And then there was a lot of police corruption at the time, and a child was brought back to her in front of a large amount of press and told was her child, and it was a happy story for the police that they recovered this kid. And she said, "This is not my child." And they said, "Yes, it is, take him home." And that's when the story begins.
Can we talk about that other story? It takes a while to develop in the film, but the fact that there is a serial killer out there and he's making a beeline for children just ratchets up the tension in here. And how do you think that story is told? I mean, what did Clint Eastwood tell you when you set out to tell this story, Angelina?
What did he tell me?
Yeah, what did he tell you about how to play Christine Collins? It's just that she seems to have this unbreakable spirit, despite everything that happens to her and everything that the system throws at her. She is unbreakable.
Well, the thing, both Clint and I just studied the actual woman. We didn't discuss how we were going to play her. We just studied her, and she was quite unbreakable, but at the same time very different from me. She was a very soft, as the film opens. She's a very shy woman of 1928 who's a single mother, which is not respected, and often she's very much put in her place and has to walk very, very, very careful line with these police so they don't shut her up completely or not look for her son or dismiss her because she's a single woman. So there was a side of her that was very, very soft and timid, which is very different from me. And then, but at the same time, in that way, she does find a strength. It's
a crucial scene you mentioned already when the son, in inverted commas, is returned by the police and she's persuaded to take him home. Why do you think she did that? There is a moment where she poses for the press and the police have their story and it's a happy reunion. Why did she not dig her heels in then and say, look, it's the wrong kid?
Well, I think we have to remember it was a while ago, and I think she was in shock. I think she wouldn't have assumed that the police would do anything like that. I think when a policeman tells you something, even if in your gut you're looking at a little kid and saying, "This is not my kid," and they're telling you that you have these female maternal instincts that are confused because you're so highly emotional, and he's been through trauma, so he seems different, and you're not thinking clearly, and this poor kid, what are you going to do, leave him here, standing here by himself? And even if it's not your kid, it's a little boy who's going to be left by himself. And I think the mother in you just doesn't know what to do, and you're in such a high state of emotion. But you're not going to leave a little boy standing on a railroad track by himself, no matter whether you believe he's yours or not.
One of the many shocking things about this story is the extent of corruption in the police force. Did that surprise you when you were researching this? I mean, it's just endemic and goes from top to bottom.
Yeah, of course it did. I couldn't believe that they would do this. The Code 12 and locking up the women was shocking. But really what they did to this woman was just unbelievable. To the extent they would go, even when they must have known that they'd made a mistake, to just simply cover themselves, to not look bad. The extent that they would go to her life, and to this little boy's life was unbelievable.
Can you explain Code 12? You mentioned that, and it's key to why your character and many other women were locked up. Can you just explain that?
There is a great legal definition, but it's really kind of in layman's terms. There were many, many women who were locked up because the police said so, and that was done in a very kind of quiet, under the table way. So they didn't have a trial. Nobody really knew about them. Some of them didn't even know why they were in there. But for example, could be a prostitute who was beaten up and wanted to go to the police, but it turns out that the John she was with was a cop and doesn't want anybody to know about it, so he'd lock her up. Or some woman, anybody who came against and the police didn't like for whatever reason, whether it be an ex-wife or somebody like Christine who was speaking out against them, a policeman would say, we decided this woman is insane. You don't ask us because we're the cops. You just take her and lock her up.
And this is Prohibition era. This is 1928, as you mentioned. How important is that in telling this story, Angelina?
The Prohibition, well, we don't really get into that in this story.
The fact that it's 1928, it is a different world, isn't it? And a woman's voice really didn't count for much.
No, not at all. I mean, there are things that are said to her. I think that was the hardest challenge for me, is there were so many things said to me that as a modern woman, I wanted to, your natural reaction is to, tell them they're ridiculous and get out of your house, or at least roll your eyes at the insanity of what they're saying, and yet had to bow my head and apologize and say, yes, sir, and because that's how you behaved then. You were a lady, and you did not, even in the clothing, there's this demure way of walking, and your bodies, you don't even see the shape of a woman in the 20s. There's this, they're dressed almost like little dolls, which I think is very symbolic of their place at that time.
I have to mention John Malkovich and his extraordinary character. What a great part he has as the Reverend. And it's extraordinary to British eyes to see that there was a preacher had a live radio show back in 1928. Just explain the role that John Malkovich's character has in telling this story.
Well, he's a preacher, and he's very much against the police when we meet him. He believes there is police corruption, and he does have a radio show and a voice in a church where he often talks about it. And he personally took on the case of Christine Collins. He followed it. He's preached about it, and then went to her to assist her through this time, and they became great comrades through the court case and taking on the cops. And he's the one that really convinced her that she should do this. And
basically, the relief for your character to find out that there's someone else out there with power who doesn't think she's crazy.
Yeah. No, I don't know if she would have survived, certainly wouldn't have done what she did if she didn't have him. They were really a remarkable team.
And this is the Reverend Breeleb, is that right? Have I said that right?
Breeleb, yes.
Yeah. And what do we know about him? There's another real character, presumably.
I don't know that much about him other than what's in the film. John would have to tell you.
An extraordinary presence on set, and your experience of working with Clint Eastwood, Angelina. What a great director, an extraordinary film that you've put together. What's he like to work with?
Oh, he's just the best. He is. There are men like him, and we all hear about them. They're these iconic kind of, men in our business, and then you meet him, and you hope he's just half as cool as you think he would be, and he's 10 times more. He's gracious, and he's such a. He has respect for every single person on the crew. He's a very fair person. He's just a great leader. He has that quality that I think any good director should have, but he has it in spades. He's genuinely, everybody would follow him to anywhere and do anything for him. And so there's a spirit on set where we feel like, we will just go to the ends of the earth and work as hard as we possibly could. And everybody felt happy. And he's very decisive when he wants something. He doesn't chat about it for hours. He just is very, very clear. And he's great.
Was it he that discovered the story? I mean, was it he and his team and his production company that delivered this story? Do you know where it came from?
No, it was the writer. Apparently there are these old discs in the library that would have the old magazine covers and newspaper covers on them. Filed away, and somebody who had worked in a library called his friend who was a writer and said, hey, we're about to throw away all these old discs that have different headlines on them and covers. You want to check them out? And he went in and he ended up scanning them all, and this story of Christine Collins kind of unfolded in the newspapers and the cover of the LA Times, and so he found it.
You're no stranger to playing difficult roles, but was Christine Collins one of the most difficult that you've had recently?
Oh, certainly. It's just it's a place emotionally that nobody, especially a mom, just wants to go to and spend any time. I didn't, even making the phone call and saying the words, talking about a child missing, and it was all very It was just very emotional, very hard. And then she had this very interesting journey for me as an artist, because it wasn't just that she found her strength overnight. She would kind of find some strength, and then she'd get knocked down, and then she'd find a little more strength, and she'd get knocked down twice as hard. Mm-hmm. And then so she had this really long journey to get to where she was in the end.
It was difficult for you. It's difficult for us. I mean, you really put us through the ringer, don't you?
I suppose that's good.
Well, it is. Well, after an hour, I was thinking a bit like the Shawshank Redemption, where you have to go through an awful lot of Shawshank before you get to the redemption. I'm looking at my watch thinking, I know this movie is 2 hours and 21, so I'm hoping there's some better stuff coming down the track. Some
good stuff, yeah, some happiness. There's a bit of happiness in the end. I think in the end, the positive thing is it is a story about justice, and that makes you feel good in the end.
But the fact that you've got those few words that come up right at the beginning, Angelina, that says it's based on a true story, you know that the Hollywood ending is not necessarily guaranteed. I'm not giving anything away, but you know that there's a degree of uncertainty there.
Which is nice. Nice to make one that's not an obvious Hollywood ending.
She's a hero, isn't she, Christine Collins?
She is to me, certainly, yes.
What do we get to see you in next, Angelina? I mean, this is fantastic things being expected of this film as far as the awards are concerned. I don't know how that feels to you, but what are you working on next?
I'm working on a film called Salt, and it's with Philip Noyce, and I don't know, that's it.
What do you make of the predictions of a little award or two coming down the track for this film, Angelina?
Well, I think anytime people are talking about that, you just feel like you did your job okay. You know, you didn't let the team down that was on set, so it's nice. It's really nice.
Angelina, it's always good to talk to you and appreciate you spending some time with us today. Thanks very much.
Thank you.